Hello and welcome to Trout Talk here on Saga 960 AM. Thanks for coming along here. Episode number 17 of Trout Talk. Brendan Lang here with Mikey K, Mike Karafalidis, and Zach Bodenstein. Guys, how have you been? It's been not really that long since we recorded our last episode. Got a couple games in there. The Steelheads were on the road. So how has it been for that short period of time that we haven't talked to each other, Zach?
It's been okay. I mean, Mikey was on the road with the teams.
Right.
He's probably got more important stuff to share, more fun stuff to share. For me, it's just been, more or less the same stuff, working, taking care of my personal relationships, making sure everyone's intact, including myself. And that's pretty much it. It's all good.
It's pretty boring, Zach. No, I'm joking. No, I had a pretty boring, whatever. Friday. Friday was the game in Kingston, and then it was quickly on to Ottawa for the quick turnover there. So it was an okay road trip. I got caught in the Santa Claus parade, which was kind of funny on Saturday in Ottawa. So saw the kids and all the parents out there and stuff like that. But they did a good job. It looked really nice in Ottawa, crossing the street there. Giving some waves. Everybody's waving to each other and all that kind of stuff. And kids were having fun, and they had some nice floats there, and that's about it. Yeah, I mean, other than that, watched some football on Sunday. Watched my Cleveland Browns beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank you very much. That's one of my Super Bowls. Now we're 7-3, or whatever. My team is 7-3, so I'm happy about that, boys. So other than that, yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
Not only 7-3, but your rookie quarterback jumped in there, and he was awesome.
Do you think so?
Yeah, man, he's good.
All right, DTR. You're talking about DTR there. Well, DTR, he played all right. He played okay. I thought in the fourth quarter he played really good. I thought that he played amazing in the fourth. So, but Stefanski, the head coach, he needed to open it up for crying out loud. Like his short passes. Yeah. I know he's trying to keep them intact or trying to limit the mistakes, all that kind of stuff. But then in the fourth quarter, when he opened it up, then he was chucking it down the field and then set up that winning field goal. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
They're in a good spot right now, man. Missing their starting running back, their starting quarterback, both out for the season. The defense has stepped up. I'm not the biggest football guy, but I know enough to know that it's the next man up mentality. And we've seen it in the OHL. We've seen it with the Steelheads, and the Cleveland Browns are doing it. So just enjoy the ride, my friend. Enjoy the ride.
I am. I've never seen a year like this in a long time. I've been a suffering Browns fan, but you know what's going to happen. Well, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but I hope they don't break my heart, which they usually do. So that's just, I really hope they really do well. If they get a home playoff game, anyway.
We might see Mikey K down in Cleveland for a home playoff.
Possibility. It's a possibility. It depends. It might cost me it might cost me too much money, so I might be staying at home. So,
hey, fair enough. Just getting to watch that on TV would be cool. Yeah, like you said, with your teams breaking your heart, usually that happens unless you're Zach Bodenstein and you're a Texas Rangers fan. Then you don't have your heart broken for once. So that's
they had their heart broken for a long time.
Well, they had their heart broken for a long time. That's right. But I'm talking about year in and year out. This year, Zach did not have his heart broken, which is rare. Because most of the time,
start a trend. He doesn't have his heart broken, and I don't get my heart broken. That's good.
Yes, right? I like
this. This is a good thing, right? And the next, Brendan, I don't know. I mean, what's your football team, my buddy?
The Bills. Yeah. Well, they were good last week.
No, they played well. Sorry,
they did. No, they did play really well last week. And I mean, against the Jets, who aren't that good, and Zach Wilson is absolutely terrible.
What are they doing?
I know, but
seriously.
But the Jets have a legit defense. So for the Bills to be able to go out there and actually score some points, it was good. Who's starting for the Jets? I think his name's Tom Doyle next week.
Doyle. Yeah, Doyle. Yeah.
Doyle, yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers says he's going to come back in the middle of December.
Chance.
Is he nuts?
There's no way. It's just because It's just because he needs his name to be out there in the media at all times. So he's got to come up with these stories about himself so people are always talking about him.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Torn Achilles, he thinks he's going to come back. Okay, then. Right, one hit, that's it. Done.
Absolutely no chance.
Yeah, I think you just gotta play it safe there. You're talking about I mean, they said that one could have been a career-ending injury. If he comes back and takes another hit, I mean, even if it's not half as bad as the one he took originally, like, you could be talking about lifetime injuries. Like, that's not good.
But why would you? Yeah, no, 100%. And why would you come back when your team's not going to make the playoffs?
Yeah,
right.
Your team's not going to make the playoffs. If his team maybe is in a playoff run, okay, maybe Aaron Rodgers, he comes back and he gets hit, whatever. But I'm just like, dang, okay. Then you work extra harder. Maybe he's going to come back. But why come back now? Your team's done. They're out. Finished. Gone. They stink. Bottom line,
Yeah.
They stink. So,
yeah, and it's not like he's 25 years old either. Like, the guy's almost 40. It's going to be more difficult to recover from that. Anyways, we've talked a lot of football here, and football has been great actually. These past couple weeks has been very exciting. But let's get into some OHL hockey. Of course, that's what we're here for. The Steelheads on the road this past weekend. Kingston and Ottawa picked up the win in that first game we were just talking about a little bit off the air, Mikey, before we jumped on. But you thought they played a pretty strong game in that game against Kingston. So let's start with that one.
Yeah, no, they played really, really well. They came out really hard. You know, you think the guys are going to have bus legs coming off of the bus, and it's a 3.5-hour drive to Kingston. No, they came out on fire. They kept Kingston in their own end. You know what was a big factor is moving up. You know what? James Richmond moved up William Eggleton up to the first line with Porter Martone and Angus McDonnell, and they were absolutely phenomenal. But that's where it started. Eggleton had a goal on Friday night as well, forehand, backhand, and it was a beautiful, beautiful breakaway goal. But they just played well defensively. They came out with that steelhead hockey mentality, good with the forecheck, not letting Kingston really get to the red line. But when they did, and they did get some chances, don't get me wrong. Jack Ivankovic was absolutely phenomenal in between the twine for the Steelheads. So it was an overall team effort in that Friday night. And that's what you want to see. It was that Steelheads, James Richmond grinding it out hockey. And they looked really fast as well. Really, really fast. So they played well, and a well-deserved win on Friday night. My goodness.
Yeah, that's important. That's important for a young team to come out on the road and show some authority, because, there have been times where they've been on the road and the game hasn't really felt like it was in reach. Now Jack Ivankovic has all that confidence coming back from a gold medal with the U17 team, and he really brought it on Friday, like you said, Mikey. Number of highlight reel saves. It looked like preseason Jack Ivankovic, and what a start to his OHL career he's had. I mean, even the games where, he's given up 4 or 5, it has not been his fault. Like, he's been great. So great to see that. And then Will Eggleton, he's just a puck hunter. He's always out there hungry for the puck. He's first to every puck. He's got a good active stick. He's obviously fast, and he thinks the game well. So seems like a pretty natural fit to put him up there with Angus and Porter, because those guys just keep the puck and they play the possession game. And if Eggleton could just get open, that seems like a really good fit. So I love that. Very encouraging win for Mississauga to kick off that back-to-back.
Yeah, and Zach, kind of what you were saying there, James Richmond says this all the time. Remember when we talked to him before the game and he talks about putting the lines together, and he says you try to find 2 guys that work well together, and then you try to find that third guy. They kind of exactly what you're talking about there, putting Eggleton on that wing. Like you said, he hunts pucks. He's going to go into the corner. He's going to be able to dig pucks free. He's going to do all that dirty work for these 2 guys. Not that they're not going to do it either, of course, but he's going to be in there. And I agree with you. I think that the fit is there for that line. Not saying that it's going to be like that for the rest of the year, but when you're looking for some offense, I think that was a pretty interesting move, and obviously it worked out there.
Well, another guy that got off kind of the semi monkey off of his back, Xander Vecchia scored a goal on Friday as well. And so you're talking about 2 guys that he's putting back together. He's putting Vecchia and Misa back together, and you know how well they played together last year, right? And they're really starting to find their groove again together. So hopefully, Misa scored as well on Friday night, so he's looking good. Vecchia is looking a lot more comfortable out there playing with Misa. So we might have 2 lines in the makings here, and 3 lines, 4 lines. I mean, I like what James Richmond did with the lines, definitely.
So what's interesting about that too is I was going to say Messia and Vicha. Misa and Vecchia. Messia would be quite the cool Italian last name.
Messio, I like that.
So what I like about that is those 2 were so dynamic together last year. But JR's told us a number of times this year he really likes Misa and Carmiris together. Now, both of those guys could play center, both of them good in the face-off circle. They both think the game very well. So very interesting to have Vecchia in the mix there too, because we saw that chemistry last year when those were 2/3 of the top line for pretty much the entire second half of the season, from January down to April. So I really like that. There is familiarity there. I think they complement each other well too, guys, because you've got Misa and Vecchia, who are both very speedy players. Luke likes to dish the puck off. Vecchia likes to shoot the puck. And we know that even when Xander's not scoring goals, he's still firing 5-6 shots a game. So I really like the way they complement one another. And so that's very interesting and nice to see them get on the board as well.
Yeah, that's right. And also, I think it was a good move by James Richmond, too, to put Jack Ivankovic in that game right when he comes back, first game back, get him in there after riding high off that winning with Team Canada. So I think that was a good move for that. And then, Mikey, we can just quickly here, before we go to the break, talk about the next game. Of course, they played the next day in Ottawa, too, and that one didn't go as well for the Steelheads.
Yeah, they came out a little flat in that first period. In Ottawa, they took advantage of it, and they got off to a big lead. They got off to a 5-0 lead against the Steelheads, right? And then things kind of settled down. And after the flat start, the Steelheads started to do well. And an afternoon of first, Gabe Sherratt scoring his first OHL goal, Kieran Witowski scoring his first OHL goal. Congratulations to those guys. Mm-hmm. Nice to see. But it's just one of those games. They came up flat. The turnover was really, really quick, right? I mean, you're playing a 7:00 game, and then you're turning it over to play a 3:00 game. You're getting into Ottawa at 12:30 in the morning, right? And then you have to put your bag, whatever, and the stuff like that. And all of a sudden you're up, and it's this, and that. Yeah, they got to get used to it, of course, and they are getting used to it as a young team with the travel. But that's a tough turnover, especially against an Ottawa team that's very talented. So, but it's one of those games. I mean, they're going to learn from it, and I'm sure they're going to come out hard this weekend. We'll talk about that.
Well, now they're used to those tough turnarounds. Think about what this weekend brings. You got the Friday night, travel Saturday, travel back Sunday. The times aren't really in their favor. So, I mean, the schedule is not going to do you any favors. We looked at it and we previewed it in July, and we were looking at weekends like this where it was travel with not even 24 hours in between start times. Those are tough situations. So, but also, again, congrats to Kieran and Gabe for getting on the board. Both of them haven't been in the lineup consistently throughout the year, but I really like what both of them do from a two-way standpoint. They bring some energy. They all think the game very well. So that's something I noticed with a lot of these Steelhead draft picks is they all have high hockey IQ. And once the maturity starts to come, I think big things are coming for both of those forwards.
Yeah, and not only have they not really been in the lineup, but not in the lineup together either too much. So for them to be able both to pick up their first OHL goals, yes, congratulations to them. Obviously, huge moment for their OHL careers. All right, talking about the travel up to Kingston, up to Ottawa, talking about how it's going to be this week and it's going to be difficult. Somebody who knows all about that overage forward for the Mississauga Steelheads, Marc Boudreau. He's going to be coming up next after the break. Thank you for coming along with us. You're listening to Trout Talk here on Saga 960 AM. Hello and welcome back to Trout Talk here on Saga 960 AM. Thank you for coming along with us. Zach Bodenstein, Mikey K, Mike Karafalidis, and Brendan Lang along with you. I just mentioned before the break, we're going to be talking to overage forward Marc Boudreau, now joining us on the show. Mark, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
So I got to ask you, last week we had Parker Von Richter on, and he had a White Sox hat on when he came on. I got to say, I like your hat a little bit better. Nice lettering there. I've never seen that one before. Are you a big hat collector?
Not a big hat collector, but I love the Jays. So I saw this one at Lids and I had to get it. So it's the only hat I'm rocking right now.
No, yeah, definitely. It's a great look.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Very nice.
Speaking of the look, what about the Muzzy?
You like it? Hey,
yeah, you're giving me a run. You're giving me a run for my money here.
Oh no, mine needs to be a little darker. You can hardly see it. It's bad lighting right now.
That's awesome, Mark. You your career. It started at Sault Ste. Marie, and then it went to Sudbury, and then now to Mississauga. You got to be one of two players that I know, at least, that have started their careers up north and played up north, and now you're back home. I mean, how does that feel? First, start off with your career starting at Sault Ste. Marie when you got drafted. Were you thinking, oh, no? Or were you thinking, oh, yes, thank you very much?
Well, I know for a fact my mom was definitely thinking, oh, no, because it's the furthest place. It's the furthest place you can go. But when I got there, I mean, it's a first-class organization, and they treated me so well. And so my mom quickly realized that I was in good hands, which was good. And then getting traded to Sudbury, I knew the North, so I stayed up in the North, and it was
Yeah,
the
the
same
North.
thing. Yeah, they treated me well there too, and then got traded here, and I've been treated well all three spots. It seems like every year I get closer to home, so I inch a
Go
little
south.
closer to home. So now I'm in the closest team, which is funny. I went from the furthest to the closest. So everywhere I've been, they treated me so well. It's different though with all like the winters and stuff, but it's definitely warmer here than up north.
Oh yeah. Dude, what goes into being traded twice? I mean, what's the process like? This has happened to you more than it's happened to seemingly anybody else in the OHL.
Yeah, I mean, the first time's always hard because it's the first time you get traded and you got to pack your stuff up, and then you gotta drive to the next city. But the second time was easier for me because it was more expected, I'd say, and I was prepared for it. But the first time was out of the blue, so that time was definitely harder. But I mean, every team's got great guys, and they always make you feel so welcome. So that's a very big part of it.
And on the topic of the trade, you came into Mississauga really late, like right before the season started. Only one other overager, so you kind of are thrust into like a leadership role right away when you got
Mhm.
there. So how are you kind of able to immerse yourself in the team so quickly?
Well, I mean, it's just about coming in, working hard every day, and being a good leader. I got a couple games under my belt in the league, so I know from previous guys who've been traded and dealt, and who I've met as a young kid. I know what they like, how they work and stuff. So it's just learning from them and being a good example for the younger guys.
Yeah, Mark, you're like a big brother out there. I could see, for the young guys and stuff like that. It looks like they really come up to you and asking you for advice, and you're just really really cool up there. You got that swagger to you, which I like and stuff. And man, yeah. So talk about we talked about your career after hockey. Maybe you might be a rapper. You said, huh? That's what you told me.
Oh man, I
You
don't
told me you
know.
want to be a rapper. During the Santa Claus parade when we were walking, you said, "Yeah."
Maybe maybe we'll see how things go. I mean,
I can see it. You're
more like
totally
a
a city guy. You're totally a
more
city
like
guy.
a Justin Bieber, I'd say, than
There you go.
like a Drake. But man, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd rather be a Justin Bieber than a rapper. So
All right, all right.
What's
Nice.
the music of choice? Is it one of those two? Is it Drake, Bieber? Is it somebody
oh
else?
man, I rotate through everything. Like I drive Fibby in the mornings, and I feel bad for him because I can go from rap all the way to Mariah Carey down to like some jazz music. So I switch it up every day depending on how I'm feeling.
Versatile on the ice,
Oh,
versatile in the speakers. I like it.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I forget who it was that we were talking to. We asked them what their goal song would be like if you could choose one. Would you have one that kind of off the top of your head that you'd like to hear when you score?
Oh,
I've never really thought about that. Man, I don't know. Some I don't know, maybe like an inside joke with the boys, but I nothing comes to my head right now. Nothing comes. Maybe probably like an old school song. Maybe like "Burn It to the Ground" by Nickelback or something. Some
ooh,
crazy like that. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Or just like
nice.
a Skrillex song or something loud and obnoxious. Something like that.
I like
Such a
it.
such a character. Mark, let's talk about your career. Your careers, of course. We just kind of touched on it in Sault Ste. Marie and Sudbury. Now with uh, finishing whatever in Toronto, where you grew up. Of course, must be a big thing for you. Number one. But talk about the difference in coaching staffs, compared to Sault Ste. Marie. You went through a lot of coaches in Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, and now
Mhm.
James Richmond. So talk about those experiences, what you've learned off each coach, whatnot.
I mean, every coach is different. You got a bunch of variety in coaches from being on three different teams, and I got to learn different things. I got to experience different things, whether you're in the bad books or the good books one day and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've had great coaches everywhere I've been. Um, the coaching staff in Missy is amazing. I mean, they really care for you. You can ask them a question like that. They'll snap. They'll have the answer. They'll show you. They'll even show you video. But I mean, every coach and staff, you learn something new. Like first year, I was learning things that I might not learn from my third year, or stuff vice versa. So every year you kind of pick information from different coaches, and that's what builds you as a player. Is just learning and soaking in all the information that they lay out there for you. And it's assistant coaches too. Like they're great, especially over here. They care for you, and they'll help you every single day. So I've been lucky.
Amazing.
Mark, I'm going to go out on a hunch and say this is probably the youngest OHL team you've ever played with. So, and you're only one of two overagers. So talk to me about that dynamic. Now you're an older guy, and there are a lot of kids underneath you that you might have to take under your wing. So talk to me about that dynamic.
I mean, I've never really been the oldest guy on any team, but I'm loving it. I mean, you just gotta be a good example for all of them, and they're kids still. Some of them are kids still, so you gotta deal with that. I'm not saying that I'm not still a kid, but a lot of them are everyone's so nice. So it's good to see like the different dynamic. When I was younger like that, how like the OAs thought of me and how I thought of the OAs. So it's definitely very interesting to see the different dynamic in that sense.
Hey, you talk about some of the dynamics. When you first came into the OHL, was there like one or two guys that really kind of brought you along when you were playing in Sault Ste. Marie?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was always glued to a couple of the guys there, like Cole McKay, Ty Cartier was one, Ryan O'Rourke, Rory Cairns, all those guys. They really showed me the ways and everything in Sault Ste. Marie when I was younger.
Yeah, that's amazing. But that's a pretty good supporting cast right there. What you just named. I mean, I don't think anybody could say that they really played with all those guys, right? So you've always been a plus guy. You've always been good on the face-offs. You've been, just always a team guy and stuff like that. But what is your best memory of junior hockey right now? Would you say?
Best memory. Honestly, there's been so many. I can't really pinpoint a memory right now. But I know my worst memory was when the season got shut down by COVID and we didn't have a season. I'll tell you that.
No kidding.
I know the generic ones, your first goal, your first fight, all that stuff. But I mean, I can't really pinpoint a specific memory. I've had so many great memories in the league, but I can't really pinpoint one. The bus rides are fun though. I'll give you that. The bus rides are a good time.
Yeah,
I'm sure. You're a big boy. What do you eat, man? What's the pre-workout meal?
Oh, chicken. I love chicken, chicken, steak. I can mix it in mac and cheese. I don't know. I'll eat anything. Except for peas. Peas, like those things are disgusting. I can't.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I don't know. No allergy, eh? It's just not your preference.
No, they're disgusting.
Okay.
Yeah, it tastes like rubber.
Yeah, I don't know why. I know my mom eats them straight out of like the can. I look at her like, I was like, "What are you doing? Like, have a carrot."
Yeah, I don't know about straight out of the can. I don't mind peas on stuff, but yeah, straight out of the can.
They're disgusting, man. I can't stand peas.
Fair enough. I mean, Zach just said there, you're a big guy. You like to play physical as well. That's kind of a big part of your game. How do you kind of find the line of trying to play physical, especially when you're an older guy on the team? So showing the guys the way and standing up for each other and all that kind of stuff, but trying to find that line of playing with that physicality, playing with that edge, but just not going over it too often.
It's tough because it's you never know what's a penalty and what's not a penalty or a suspension these days. So you kind of got to be careful. I mean, sometimes you got to make the split second decision in your head, like, oh, should I do this or not, or should I give this guy a shot, or should I hit this guy? So it's weighing out the pros and cons every time. I mean, I just go out there and whatever comes to my mind, I go with my instincts and I just play. So whatever that day I'm feeling, I'm feeling. So,
Mark, what's your feeling about this team this year so far?
Oh, so much potential. It's insane. I probably have never been on a team with so much skill, like up and down the lineup. So, everyone says we're young, but who cares if we're young? I mean, you guys seen what we could do. So, every game we expect to win, and that's a very good thing with a young team and two great goaltenders too. So,
Well, we've talked about how young this team is, how you're one of the older guys. Who's somebody that you see and you see their age, you're like, there's no way. Who plays beyond their years at this point? I mean, that could go for so many guys on this team.
Our two goalies. I've never seen a duo that good and so young. I could say a lot of guys on the team, but the first two that come to mind are 1 and 2 are Covey and Rye, and those two are insane. It's good to have two really good goalies who are really young. A lot of teams struggle with that, so it's good that we have them.
And this is your first year in Mississauga, so this is our first time not Mikey's first time, I guess he saw you in Sudbury, but our first time kind of seeing you up close. What does an off season look like for you when you go from one year to the next? Like, what are you working on? What's kind of the area of improvement that you really were working on this past off season and just kind of off seasons in general?
Every off season, it's usually skating, some skills, and cardio, and getting stronger. I was in the gym every 5 times a week, skating a lot too. But it's also a lot of people also don't give themselves the time to relax and just get your mind away from hockey and take maybe a month or two after the season to just spend some time with friends, maybe go on a vacation with the family, do something like that. But when it comes down to the training, I'm dialed in the summer and I love it. It's definitely fun, especially when you're working out with your gym boys or your hockey boys. It's a good time.
Who do you model your game after? The most generic question ever. I'm sure you've been asked this about 50 million times.
Oh man,
we need to know right now.
I like Anderson on the Habs.
Okay.
I like to model myself after him. Yeah.
Okay. You a Habs fan, or you just like Josh?
No, I'm a Habs fan. Not in recent years. They haven't been too good, but when they went to the finals, I was happy. Eating the Leafs out too. Oh man, I was happy.
Listen, I'm a Texas Ranger fan. I just witnessed something I never thought I'd witness in my life. So
yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, Mark. I mean, that's great. What about Corey Perry? I see some Corey Perry in your game too. Have you ever?
I love him too. Oh, he's great. Yeah. No, I love him. He's good. I see that too. I see a little bit of that too.
Literally, even down to the chirping. Like, you're always yapping out there. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. But I mean, it's just so much Corey Perry. I know he shoots right, you shoot left, but that's the one that stood up to me. That's the one that I thought you were going to say.
I like that one. I've never really thought about that, but I like it. I like that. I'll start using that one.
I could totally see that.
Can I redo my answer?
That's awesome.
There you have it. Now we can go with Corey Perry. Okay, that's
maybe I'll change my number too.
Aha.
Well, what does go behind the number 89?
Oh, it's my parents' anniversary, like when they got first together, married, something like that.
That's nice.
Yeah, 1989. It was a while ago, but and I was that minor midget too, so it just seemed right to go back to 89. But that was the reasoning in minor midget why I chose it.
And were you always 89, or were different numbers there?
No, I've had 10. In the Sioux, I was 13. In Sudbury, I was 28, and then Sharpie had 28, so I had to change her up, and then now I'm 89 again, going back to the roots.
I like that. 89. Look at the good family boy, Marc Boudreau. You gotta like that. Nobody thinks about that. They just think about hockey and stuff. And they say, hey, 25 because of this and that. No, you think about family, and that's
there you go. Yep.
Family number one. So you know what? Again, great feeling coming home to play now in your overage season, man. I mean, when you got the call and you said you've been traded to Mississauga, did you go, woohoo, going home kind of thing? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's crazy because I always thought like, what do guys close to home do? Like what like do they go home? Do they go home if they want like a dinner, if they want to go see their parents? And that's exactly what they do. A lot of guys go home and whenever they need a meal, they text mom or dad and go, hey, like, can we have some steak tonight or something? And they'll be like, yeah, I'll cook you it up. So right. I was so happy when I got the call that I was getting traded to Mississauga. So I couldn't be more happy to be here.
Amazing.
Yeah, Parker Von Richter said that last week too. I said, you live at home? He goes, yeah. I'm like, so you're probably eating nice. And how could you not, right? The parents are there, and it's got to give you a little bit more sense of like, I don't know, appreciation. Like, it's just got to be nice to be at home and feel more at home. And that might translate to your game because your life is a little bit more at ease. You're not living with billets in a city that you're not familiar with. Do you find that's the case?
I think there's a lot of pros and cons. Because when I went to Sault Ste. Marie when I was 16 years old, I learned to kind of like, I learned more things than a 16-year-old would than living at home. Because I had to move away, new city, billet family, and so I think it's pros and cons definitely, but I feel like both ways are good for players. I mean, living on your own in a different city at 16 versus living at home in the OHL at 16, you get different experiences, but it doesn't hurt one or the other. It doesn't hurt you in any way.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for coming on. One more thing I got to ask you before we let you go here, just because at the beginning of the interview you said you're a big Jays fan. I'm a Blue Jays fan as well. So I got to ask, what do they need to do in the offseason? I got to ask you a baseball question here.
Oh, man.
Everything.
A lot of things. First of all, they need to get Manoah. They need to get Manoah head straight, and they'll be good because he's got potential. And they might need a new hitting coach.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So
New hitting coach.
They re-signed him, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, they re-signed everyone, and they all thought that Schneider was getting fired. All these guys, but no, we're bringing back the same team as last year. So
they were like fifth in hits in the league, like 18th in RBI, meaning they just weren't bringing guys home. Like, what is going on?
I'll be the hitting coach of that team. I'll fix them up.
They'd win the World. They'd win the World Series. They'd win the World Series.
Oh yeah, I'd be right in their face. I'd be saying, "Let's go. This is the way you hit the ball. Enough of this fucking nonsense.
Yeah, seriously,
let's go."
Just hit it. Can't be that hard.
Sits there like this. That's okay. Don't worry. No, yell at them.
Right? Have you seen that episode of Seinfeld where George Costanza is teaching Derek Jeter how to hit a baseball? Go watch that, Brendan. I know it's before your time, but go watch.
Yeah, that's a great episode. All right, Mark, thank you so much once again for coming on here. Really appreciate you doing this. Good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Have a good one.
Thank you.
See you soon.
That was Mississauga Steelheads overage forward Marc Boudreau. We're going to take a break now. We're going to come back, going to recap that interview and talk a little bit of trade talk with the Mississauga Steelheads. We'll do that on the other side of the break. You're listening to Trout Talk here on Sauga 960 AM. Hello and welcome back to Trout Talk here on Sauga 960 AM. Zach Bodenstein, Mikey K, Mike Karafalidis, and Brendan Lang along here with you on episode 17 of Trout Talk on this Sunday afternoon, with a game coming up here actually just after the episode when airing on Sauga 960. So we just talked to Marc Boudreau, and guys, we just kind of talked about it a little bit off the air too, but he's that personality. When you talk about it in friendships, you talk about it in teams, he's that glue guy, and it just keeps everybody together with that. Obviously, you could tell a big personality from him.
Yeah, he's a leader. He's a leader because he leads by example on the ice, but he's also somebody that you can come to with experience. He's been on 3 different teams. He's been traded twice. He's done it all. Now he's an overager on a young team. And again, the way he plays, defensively responsible. He's physical. He stands up for his teammates. He stands up for himself. And there's not much you can get by him. And on top of that, I mean, such a jokester, big personality, loves to smile and laugh, my kind of guy. And Mikey, I mean, you're familiar with this guy, and certainly a huge addition. Getting him for like a 15th round pick in a few years, it's basically for free. But the responsibility and the impact that he's had on this team has been just insurmountable.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you just said, like his personality, the way he carries himself on and off the ice is absolutely just first class. You know what I mean? Like he jokes around. He's always joking around. He could be serious, but he's not too serious. So he's got a smile on his face, and but when it's game time, he could score the big goal too, right? We've seen him score that big goal. We've seen him get the guys going and on and off the ice, or on the ice, right? Off the ice, yeah, just a great character. Sudbury, they got rid of him, and it's Mississauga's gain. I mean, for what, 15th round pick or whatever it was, right? So What an addition. He fits in perfectly with these young guys. And that's what James Richmond wants. He wants a guy that's going to have that has a good person, but a good player as well. And I mean, I got to say it again, James Richmond kind of player. That's exactly what he likes.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the best way to describe it, is he
Yeah.
fits perfectly in both aspects, off the ice and on the ice, in the James Richmond system. It's so interesting too, talking to him, that, like you, and I think you alluded to it during the interview, Mikey, but he's got to be one of the only players in the league that's been traded that many times, played on that many different teams. So that in itself just lends so many more experiences when you're with younger players. And also too, when I asked him kind of how was it getting in late, feeling like you need to be a leader, he was like, no, you just got to come in and you just got to show them how to do it. Like, he didn't seem like it was like there's a lot of pressure on him to be a leader. He just kind of already had that personality.
Can you imagine being that age too? Just like you're saying, being traded up north at 16, being drafted by the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, then getting traded to the Sudbury Wolves. So he's living with billets up north for his first, 4 years of his career, right? I mean, and look at the players he's learned off of. Cairns, he's learned off of McKay. All these guys are really good NHL guys, right? So he brings all that stuff down with him, and he could teach the young guys how to live, how to be, how to be better people, better person, and to joke around, to be a rapper when you're done, just stuff like that. Just kidding when I say that, because he was joking around about that. But he's just that kind of a guy. And tell me players that can bring that have played up north, that can, like, that's unbelievable at a young age. I mean, you can see how mature he is too.
Yeah, I think about Porter Martone a lot too, because he's a Peterborough native who played his last year, his OHL draft year in Toronto, and then he got drafted by Sarnia. So here, and I know it's opposite on the screen, but he's kind of bouncing all over, right? And then now he gets traded back to Mississauga, so he has family here that he can stay with, but he was only 16 through this whole process. It's a lot. I mean, it's like when you go away for university, but you're 18 years old, you've got a dorm and everything. Obviously, it's a different situation, but the same idea that you're kind of leaving home for good for the first time. And how's that going to affect your game? How's that going to affect your school? How's that going to affect your life, your personal relationships? A lot goes into this. These guys are human beings before they're hockey players. So I always think about that. But he brought up a really good point that there are pros and cons. He gets out of his comfort zone as a 16-year-old, slowly starts making his way back towards home, and then gets to play a away season with his stay with his family and be close to home and see his buddies that he grew up with. Like, that is an awesome story. And I'm so glad we could have Marc Boudreau on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely great to have him on, and a very very interesting interview, very high energy interview. So again, thank you to Marc Boudreau for coming on Trout Talk here. All right, so we can move on. One thing before we talk about the trade, this will be aired by the time this happened, but Toys for Tots would have happened at this point on Friday. You've heard the commercials on the air. Mikey K voicing the Steelheads commercials, talking about Toys for Tots and the initiative with the Peel Police. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there before we move on to our next thing, to just talk about the great cause and coming in and bringing a toy for underprivileged children.
Yeah, so unbelievable.
Right. So yeah, just wanted to fit that in there. Now we can kind of get back quickly here into some trade talk and Mississauga on the trade, where we talked about trades last week, not involving Mississauga. There's been a lot of moves here coming up recently, but the Steelheads had made a trade. It was Kai Schwint being dealt. Kind of an odd deal. I was surprised to see that move. What did you guys make of it?
So, I mean, JR has been talking to us throughout the year. Pretty fluid situation with Kai Schwint, because he was up with the Florida Panthers, played some preseason games in the NHL, then went to the AHL Charlotte Checkers, and then kind of found a home with the ECHL. Now, Florida was kind of withholding. They have no right to, I mean, they don't owe JR anything. They don't owe Mississauga anything. They don't have to tell JR what they plan on doing with Kai Schwint. It's pretty much, JR will just go with the flow, and that's what he's been doing. But now it kind of seemed like, we're more inclined to send him to junior. JR understands that, and he goes, okay, maybe I want to go a different direction. I'm just trying to read his mind. go in a different direction with the OAs. Maybe he wants to bring an OA on the back end. We've seen him carry 4 in the past. Now he's only got 2. So, Sarnia had an OA opening. They also moved out Luca Del Belbaluz's rights to Saginaw in case he comes back for the Mem Cup. So there was a position there for Kai Schwint to go in. And again, bit of a younger team. I like the fit for Kai Schwint there, and it gives Mississauga options, Mikey. I think maybe, Kai Schwint did a lot. In fact, the whole Schwint family did a lot for this Mississauga community. So not just Kai, but Cole and the family too.
Right.
But this gives them some different options. Maybe go in a bit of a different direction, have some flexibility. They pick up a 9th round pick, and odds are, guys, whoever they get as that 3rd OA spot, if they are to address it, is probably going to be cheaper than a 9th round pick anyway.
Yeah, he's going to make a good deal, and somebody's going to come here with somebody good's going to come here in that OA position if he decides to go that way. But Kai Schwint getting traded to Sarnia, the same kind of team as Mississauga is. They're a team that's on the rebuild and whatnot. So you send him over there, but you get a draft pick. What's he going to do with these draft? I mean, again, I'm going to mention this now. There's a ton of the draft capital is unreal for the Mississauga Steelheads right now. A lot of draft picks in the cupboard. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Still with an OA spot, still with still with an import spot as well. And as you said, Kai Schwint, his family did so much, his brother playing in Mississauga, whatnot. And, we wish Kai all the best. He's a good kid, and I'm sure he's going to do well in Sarnia. And he plays a good 2-way game, and he plays really hard. So, and he's another team guy, and Sarnia's going to enjoy him.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense what you mentioned there, Zach, and kind of saying that, because I was thinking, if he were to come back, there's that 3rd OA spot probably fits in well on this forward group. We've talked about the depth and all that, so he fits right in there. But you're right. Maybe it's just kind of he sees a fit elsewhere, or maybe he's going to try to bring in an overage guy. So that possibly could have been the reason for moving him out and just making some room there. All right, so the Mississauga Steelheads now, they are about to play after Trout Talk is aired here on Sunday. They would have just finished off, or they will be finishing off a 3-3 lot of travel there. So the Steelheads hoping for a big weekend. Now, before we sign off, we always get to life tips. We got about 2 minutes here. Does anybody have anything? Mikey, do you have any great stories that's been going on in your life recently? Usually you've got some stuff happening that you have some gripes with people we like to hear about.
No gripes with people.
No, nothing.
Yeah, no gripes with people at all. Just everything was go to the Santa Claus parade. Go to the Santa Claus parade. It was nice to see in Ottawa on Saturday, and Saturday morning it was, and it was pretty cool. You saw all the kids out there, and I mentioned it with their parents and all the floats and all that. So hey, if you got siblings or young ones that want to go, have a good time. Let the kids enjoy. That's what I say. So there's your life tip. Go to Santa Claus. Enjoy the holidays while you can, because only comes once a year. So, and happy Thanksgiving to all my American followers as well. So there's a life tip. Remember that it's Thanksgiving out there, and there you go. That's all I got for you.
That's okay. That's a good one to finish it off. Yeah, that's right. I always forget that Thanksgiving is so close to Christmas in the U.S. It just seems odd to me because obviously we're not American, so we've always had Thanksgiving well before Christmas, so it seems like it's very bunched together when they talk about it in the US. And then obviously football is a holiday there, so they've even thrown an extra game in this year. They got one on Friday as well.
So, Black Friday game on Amazon. That's unbelievable. I know I'm gonna do a little shopping on Amazon too. So life tip, there's another one. Go shopping on Amazon for Black Friday.
Or go in person. Go in person.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
Or go in person. Whatever. There you go.
Last year I got a beautiful custom suit from Indochino. Got it even engraved on the inside. So that's the one you guys see me wear more regularly than the other one. So this year I got to take advantage of that deal again. Zip down to the mall, and they have all my measurements in there, because for me, not to brag, I can't just get anything off the rack. I have a different body type, so everything needs to be custom. And they ask you, do you plan on putting on, losing, something like that? So they have all my measurements in the system.
Yeah.
And, even JR.
Try it on. What they say? What do you mean? Say to them, let's go try things on. That's all you gotta say.
JR had such a funny quote when I was talking to him about the custom suits. I was like, you're expected to. They asked me if I want to put on, and I was like, yeah, I'm hoping to. And he's like, well, not everyone's hoping to put on. And so,
yeah. Well, he's got 8 suits, right? Then he
I think
8 or 9
maybe
suits.
even more, man, because they get new ones every year. So they just them and all the coaching staff, they just got custom ones.
That's a lot.
I don't know what he does with the old ones because they get new ones every year. So we're gonna have to ask him about that. Like, what happens to the old suits? Do you donate them? Do you pass them down in the family? Is little McGregor gonna be wearing those suits one day? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. He was saying, well, I'm not expecting to gain, but sometimes not planning on it.
So it's either she goes or she doesn't go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But no, we always mention Matt Chiarantano too. We always mention his suits when he comes in. He just got one nice vest, always looking good. I gotta go down there and get a suit so I don't have my umbrella salesman jacket on. Mike,
well, all you have to do is pull an umbrella out of your pocket and just right. It'd be good, Brennan. It's a good thing. Go down and check it out, man.
Yeah, I should.
One. Really, honestly, you get one for a good price and whatever. I mean, go to Moore's. I'm gonna get another one. I only got 2 right now because I had to change my wardrobe because I was in the fat man suit before, right? That's what I call it. I mean, that's what my family calls it, the fat man clothing. So I'm not in the fat man clothing anymore. So I'm gonna get another one as well. So I'm gonna go with 3. So you should get one, a nice sharp one, the umbrella one. Put it inside on your thing with the umbrella on top, and that's it. Call it quits.
Okay. I will. I'll try to get one so I can retire.
There you go.
The umbrella suit for the rest of this season. All right, guys. Thank you, Zach, Mikey. Thank you for everybody listening here on Saga 960. Thank you to Marc Boudreau for coming on. Also watching on YouTube as well. If you listen to the podcast, all of our viewers, we thank you a lot for that. So. Without further ado, I couldn't get that one out. Without further ado, for Zach Bodenstein, Mikey K, Mike Karafalidis, Brendan Lang, thank you so much for coming along. Enjoy the Steelheads game coming up, and have a great afternoon.